Today, I am announcing 3 principal measures. 1, a temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits.
Big news for all internationals looking to study in Canada. The Canadian government has just dropped a very huge bombshell, and there is a major overhaul on its international students and the cap that they will be taking in for 2024, 2025. I'm here to break down the details and make sure you're in the loop and that you don't miss anything. So buckle up, because it's gonna be a very big and interesting big time game changer.
International students are a valuable asset to this country. They are bright, young individuals that enrich our communities and bring significant social, cultural, and economic benefits. They deserve the best. They deserve world-class academic experiences that they sought out and hoped for. And Canada is renowned for that.
The press release starts with a strong assertion about the vertical role of international students. You know, international students play a very important role in the economy of Canada, and in terms of building their population, in terms of their labor force, the workforce, in terms of the diversity, culture, what Canada actually stands for. International students form a really huge bulk of it. There's been recent changes, however, a threat to the integrity of the system that existed for letting international students come study in Canada. There's been fraudulent people who have gotten into the system. The onus is yours to really follow the right path so that you get here without any complication. You know, some institutions have been increasing the intakes for their students over the year, whereas they don't have the right teachers, they don't have the right infrastructure, they don't have the right housing for their students. And as you all know now, there is a bombshell. There is a housing bubble in Canada where housing prices are skyrocketing. If you come here and you don't have money, you wouldn't even be able to have a house to live. And this is pretty dangerous, because the winters can really be severe in a majority of the provinces in Canada, like literally all of Canada. And so the government has decided to prepare to make sure that international students don't come here and suffer, that they don't have a hard time, and that all these institutions are supposed to have a place ready for them before they can come into the country. And that's why there's this bombshell. So the Canadian government needed institutions to provide enough support to international students. You just can't bring people to a country and you do not provide them support of any kind, whereas they've left their home countries and have come here to foster their studies. One thing is, there is an intake cap. So the number of international students that can come to Canada has been capped at a certain number, and that number is 360,000. This is still very amazing, and as we'll go down, we'll see for healthcare professionals, you guys are the ones that are charged. So this should be rather good news for you. Although it might be sad for some people, sorry, life is not fair, but yeah, healthcare professionals have a little higher hand on this. So the Honorable Minister, Mark Millier, announced a 2-year cap on international students' permit applications. And for 2024, a whopping 35% decrease from the numbers of international students that were received in 2023, with an intake cap of 360,000 study permits that will be issued this year in 2024. And individual province and territory caps. So one thing you should know is that in Canada, it's not the federal government that decides on what is happening in terms of education, what is taught, the curriculum and all of that. It is a provincial government's duty. So the individual provincial and territorial caps based on population will lead to more significant decrease in some provinces. So provinces like BC and Ontario that have been receiving a majority of the students will see a great reduction. And some provinces, maybe like Yukon, Northwest Territories, might see an increase in number of international students that are being accepted there. And master and doctoral degrees, as well as elementary school and secondary education, are excluded from the cap. So this is for people essentially doing bachelor's degree, and coming as an international student has been a way for people to come here, then find a path after the Canadian experience to get permanent resident, but the government is trying to stop that. And number 2 is the allocation of the process. IRCC has allocated a portion of the cap to each province and territory with letters of attestation required from January 22nd, 2024. So in a few days ago, before you apply, you get into a school, you now need something that we call a letter of attestation, and then the provincial government is in charge of giving you that. So what is the bad news here is that we might see applications for a student visa are taking a little bit longer than they used to before, because you then need to reach out to the province, get these letters from the province before you can apply for your student visa. But I guess they must have already made adjustments knowing that this was coming, and so those letters should be there based on the cap that the province is going to receive from the federal government. The province and territories must establish letter process by March 31st. So this process of giving letters to those who have been accepted into institution must start from March 31st. So the question comes, what happens between January 22nd and March 31st? There's going to be a delay within that time, so you can't get anything done for sure. I don't know what the exact process is, but I'm happy to give you information and update as that happens. And so temporary measures will be in place for 2 years. So these measures are to be for 2 years with a reassessment at the end of 2024 to see if there is any changes, if these institutions are providing better conditions for international students, to see if they can increase the cap or not, with a reassessment of new study permit applications for 2025. So again, there'll be an assessment at the end of this year to know exactly what number they will take in 2025. So it could be bad news. In 2025, maybe it could reduce from 360,000 to even lesser, or it could be good news. It could increase just based on how the institutions are adapting to this, and the provinces are adapting as well. And the next one is that postgraduate work permit changes are going to occur. This is really a big hit. Starting September 1st, 2024, students in curriculum licensing arrangement wouldn't be eligible for postgraduate work permit anymore. This is so sad, but again, it might change once they do a revelation at the end of 2024. So maybe no big need to worry about it right now. But graduates of master's and short graduate level programs can soon apply for a 3-year work permit. So if you're a graduate, you're a master student, so anyone after master degree or a master degree person will still have the opportunity of applying and getting a 3-year work permit postgraduate, which is still good news. And spousal open work permits is number 4 thing, which we'll talk about. What will happen to spousal work permit is that it will be limited now. Open work permit for spouses limited to those international students in a master and doctorate program. So if you're in a master program, you're in a doctorate program, you will still be able to accord, or through your education, your spouse is able to get a work permit in an open work permit in Canada, which is still like really great news. We're looking at the important nuances here is that the rapid increase in Ontario and BC, the students were coming in like very huge numbers. So the problem was that it was also putting a little bit of stress on the housing bubble that we currently have, with housing really becoming super expensive. There are fewer houses that have been built, but there's many more demand than houses. I remember when I was trying to get a house and I set in an application, I went on Rent Faster, checked on a home, and the day we had to go for an open house tour, I think there were like 50 different people coming to look at the same house, and just for one couple selected to be given that house. So you can imagine how hard it is to get a house, and so that was putting significant pressure on the housing market and healthcare system. That's what the Canadian government is saying, and these measures are aimed to alleviate some of this pressure that we have in terms of housing and the healthcare system. And long-term planning, the government is working with provinces and territories for a sustainable path forward, including a recognized institution framework and determining long-term sustainability for all international students.
It's unacceptable that some private institutions have taken advantage of international students by operating under-resourced campuses, lacking supports for students, and charging high tuition fees, all the while significantly increasing their intake of international students.
A quote from Minister Mac Miller emphasized the need to protect the system from abuse and strike a balance for Canada while setting students up for success, because there's no need when you come here and you are upstairs in the second floor, there is a bar, and then below is your class. Like, you wouldn't study anything. So it was really getting out of control, and that's why Minister Miller is saying that there need to be some control at one point in time that has to set in, and these are the measures that the government is trying to do. So what to watch out for: provincial attestation letters. Keep an eye on it. If you're applying for your university or for school, you have to keep an eye on the provincial attestation. The processes, the timelines, every province is going to have probably different timelines, and then you should be able to check that out. We'll be able to lead that information once it becomes available. And then postgraduate work permit eligibility as well. They have said for now, just those are in the master's and the doctorate programs whose spouses are eligible for postgraduate work permit, but it might change, so you want to put an eye on that as well, and make sure you know if you're doing an undergrad course or you're just doing like some graduate diploma, which was a case where people came with a 1-year diploma and they were able to get postgraduate work permits after that. And now spousal work permit as well. There is no restrictions on open work permit for spouses based on the student's program's level. So if you're a student who is in a master's degree and a doctorate degree, your spouse is able to get a work permit. If you're studying in a master's degree and a doctorate degree, you're still eligible to get a postgraduate work permit just once you graduate. So that's really cool, and there's no hurting on that front. And in conclusion, these measures are aimed at ensuring genuine students receive, invitations, and they are admitted into Canada and they study in Canada. Stay informed, stay prepared, and let's navigate the changes that have occurred. There's nothing we can do now. We just have to embrace it and make the changes. Make sure we know about the provincial information. And that's a wrap up of today's dive. If you found this helpful and you think you need more information, please send the comments below, hit like and subscribe. Also, this video for international students who are aspiring nurses, physicians, laboratory technicians, I have included our affiliate links to medical textbooks that you can use.